If I hear say anybody begging for popcorn, ha!
You got the good.
If I hear people only watch this popcorn with your eyes, you will see the popcorn. With your lips and your tongue, you shall not taste. You like the sound? Don't lie. You like the sound of me munching my popcorn? All right, let's get serious. I am very grateful to truly amazing friends who
Bringing the popcorn.
who come through to the studio with gifts like this. This popcorn came all the way from Banff to Calgary, and I'm thankful to the person who brought it for me. I'd like to say thank you to Alicia for the popcorn and for stopping by today. Hold on a second. I'm going to drink some water, please. Sorry, I'm just an idiot. Sorry. All right. So Alicia is a therapist. She's also an instructor at U of C. And she's the brain behind Lumen's YYC. And by the way, guys, if you're not following Lumen's YYC, do that right away. It's spelled LUMENSYYYC.
You got it.
And if you cannot spell YYC, I promise I cannot help you.
Come on, you put it in the bio or come on, just give a little.
Oh yeah, true.
Okay. Come on.
How are you feeling today?
Good. Yeah. I haven't done this very much, so not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous, but I'm also feeling good because I think this is a really important topic. I'm really passionate about it, so I'm excited to be here too. Yeah.
It's not showing that you're nervous at all. Except for the fact that you have drank like 3 cups of water already.
Now you know myself.
A couple of days ago, actually I think on Wednesday, was the Bell Let's Talk About It.
Yeah.
They try to raise awareness for mental health stuff and all that. And I can imagine that your story and I will be very similar in that we come from a place where mental health stories and mental health support and things like that are looked at a little differently. And it breaks my heart when I see some of these stories. And that's why I'm going to be troubling you this evening.
You know it's not trouble, but we'll call it that, sure.
I'm curious, where are you from, Alicia?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Canada. My parents are from a town in Uganda. And yeah, so I was kind of raised with one foot in both worlds, you could say.
Okay, I'm just going to go right for the jugular.
Okay.
A.
That's how we do. Yeah.
Do men need mental health support?
Could ask you that question. And you will have a very plain answer probably. But yeah, no, I think that's a really good question, actually. It's one that's maybe implicit. Like, I don't know that people ask it. They just assume the answer. But I would say men need it as much as humans need it.
Yeah. Based on your experience as a therapist and an health worker yourself, if you compare the ratio of men and women that reach out for help, how would you say it pans out?
Yeah, it's significantly higher women that reach out.
Why is it so?
Well, I think some of the research points to a few different things. I mean, and there might be some other pieces too, but the things that I think I've noticed in my experience is, for one, I think it's widely more accepted socially or societally for women to ask for help in that kind of area of things.
Are you saying that it's widely also accepted that men shouldn't?
Yeah, I think so, because I think that there's an element of feeling like they're conditioned to be a certain way, and women are conditioned to, and I think that lends to to how comfortable you are asking for help.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And if we strip this down a bit more and just even go deeper and try to reflect our community, for instance, I wonder how that even pans out when you now bring it down to BIPOC folks. How would you say it looks like in that community?
I think there's an added layer for the BIPOC community. Like, I think that the cultural pieces are so, they're hard, they're messy to navigate. Like, there's another layer there of, because there's the piece of what it is to be a man, and then there's the thing, what it is to be a Black man, or a man that has a certain religious affiliation and certain people that rely on him. So there's a difference, I think, in terms of things that you're taught in addition to the general larger culture. Then there's the subcultures of how you were raised.
Black, indigenous, and people of color, it's a little different for them. Even from the resources, the mental health resources available for them, not just in Canada, but around the world. The stigma around coming out to look for help, as a man especially, in the BIPOC world. The cultural nuances around you coming out to come get help, and all of those things makes it, I would say, a little bit harder for men to reach out for help. What would you say will make it easier for mental health help or support to be much more attractive?
Yeah, maybe accessible, or or maybe, that's such a good question.
BIPOC men, reach out for help.
Yes. And give us your comments. Just tell us so we can, what works for you.
What works?
I think I can't say that there would be one size fits all for everyone, but maybe I can do a little generalization of what I've noticed with the men that I've worked with. I think that there's a combination of what happens individually, and then there's what happens outside of you. So there's an internal, giving yourself permission, and then there's an external. So finding a therapist or a professional who might be able to help you feel seen and a bit safer in that environment. Because I think that, so it's different for different people, but as an example, maybe reaching out to someone who you think might have a bit of an understanding. That's been helpful sometimes with some of the men I've worked with, having someone who has a bit of an understanding of maybe the cultural pieces. But for other men or for other people, maybe they would want someone who's completely different, who wouldn't have a context. But I guess I've just noticed that having some of those pieces has helped. Another thing is kind of having an idea of what you might want or need from that experience. I don't think that men, and maybe people in general, but particularly men, come in having the language as to what is it that I need from this? What is it that I want from this? So maybe having it could help to walk in and say, listen, this is like my first experience, and I want to also figure out if this is going to be helpful for me. So I think that requires, that's not a simple thing. It might require a bit of openness, a bit of flexibility, definitely vulnerability, right? Like, it is a vulnerable thing to ask for help. There's already armor that we wear for good reason, right? That help us be safe in the world. And that, walking into any space that's going to support you or help you, is an inherent shed a layer of armor. So I think maybe, I don't want to take away from the fact that it's going to be vulnerable, but
I sit here listening to you, but I'll be an hypocrite to say that these things you're saying will be easy for any man, especially men that come from places where you've been taught that men should be this certain way.
Right.
Carry yourself in this certain way. Do not cry. Do not show any vulnerability. Do not, all of those things. And now you're saying that he has to come in and be vulnerable?
Yeah.
Wow.
I get it. Honestly, this is it. Like that's the heart of it. It is hard. It is a really hard thing to do. And I think, I think that, I guess I can say that I've seen, I have seen some of the outcomes when we're able to do that, but it is, that's why I kind of think it is going to be a combination of recognizing that you feel kind of safe with this person, with this therapist, with this professional. I feel a semblance, a sense of like they can handle it, they can take it, they can hold it, and then also that permission that is, yeah, you're right. Like it's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah,
but it's so needed. This is the thing, because I think that we get to a place in our life where something's not working. And it's hard when and I think this is the cultural piece that comes into it. You're surrounded by a community or values and ideologies that are not hitting the mark in some way. They're not giving you the path in some way. There's something missing.
Yeah. You know how certain drugs prescribed by the doctor it just doesn't taste well. You're like, I don't want to taste it, but you need it to actually get well.
Yeah. And honestly, if I can share one thing about vulnerability that people could take, is just that there's a few myths that vulnerability, the research now, a decade of it, has shown us that there's actually some myths that vulnerability in our society that we have. And one of them, I won't mention them all here, but what the research is showing is that one of them is that the myth is that vulnerability is weakness.
Yeah.
Because they went and did all this research and figured out, oh God, vulnerability is actually courage. We go around thinking that it's weakness, and it actually is courage.
Vulnerability is actually strength. It's courage.
Yeah. It's brave.
Guys, I know you heard it. I'd have to say 50 times, but I would if it would let you get to that place where you feel comfortable enough to show up in your true courage and your true strength. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. I promise you, if you don't, I will beat. Okay, sorry. Okay, get back to seriousness. Oh, come on. And it was going so well. I like this quiet moment, and then then I messed it up, of course. but I also wonder, and I believe and I agree 100% about the strength and vulnerability. Hearing you talk about it right now, negating all the myths that it's weakness and all that. But how can a therapist like you, for instance, how can you make me feel safe? And every man out there who would not typically be the guy that comes to the door and walk in for whatever million of reasons why they don't feel safe or feel that they can let their guards down. What are the things that therapists can do to help them feel at ease in the room?
We could probably do a whole segment just on safety, because it's layered, just like the nuances of what we're talking about. I think it's a layered concept, but I think if I were to maybe just take a few things that I've learned over time, is for one, it's going to be really unique to the person. So having that on the forefront, that this is something that I want to pay attention to. Yeah. I want to pay attention to this feeling when I feel it, when I felt it with friends, when I felt it with family, when I felt it with someone important, when I felt it in a lecture, whenever I felt it, I want to try and pay attention to when I feel like I can let down some of that armor. I think a therapist can, for one, be ethical and clear about boundaries and explaining, how private those conversations are. I think what I can speak to is what I do. And I don't know how many this will resonate with, but I think that my goal when people walk into my office is that they feel a sense of connection. So they leave feeling connected. And when we look at the definition of connection, it's the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. And so I think my main goal when someone sits in my chairs is that they feel connected. And I think that that connection is what's lacking so much.
I appreciate that response a lot. And I want to take this opportunity to actually, if you permit me, to make a call out to professionals out there. My friend Alicia is doing a weekend course for our professionals, guys. And I'm hearing her talk right now, and I'm feeling like, if only we could train more BIPOC people, train more professionals to get to know all of these things. And if you're out there watching this, if you need to brush up on your courses or you need to learn research-based concepts for professionals in how to help your clients to move toward authenticity and cope with life adversity, there are tools, research-based tools that Alicia will be sharing. And it's just a weekend at the University of Calgary. I'll put a post to our page and link to our bio so you can reach out. For sure, Alicia and I, this is certainly not going to be the last we'll have this conversation, because, like you said, it's an issue in our community. We must keep talking about this.
Absolutely.
Not just on the 25th of January. Literally every day, we must keep encouraging BIPOC men to reach out for help. And BIPOC men.
We can't go it alone, my friends.
BIPOC men, reach out for help. And on that note, friends, I'll just be right here. Selfishly, self-care. This is my self-care.
Exactly how it should be.
This is how I take my power back. Self-care is how you take your power back. I'm taking my power back with the popcorn that Alicia bought for me. Alicia, thank you. Self-care. Mental health therapy right here. So let's see you again, friends. Stay safe out there. Love yourself, love others. You deserve it. You truly do deserve it to love yourself. And I remain that Yoruba boy in the city of Calgary with a yellow cap on his head, making noise every now and then. Today, you guys heard that today I was gentle. You guys, Alicia's voice is very, very soft. I cannot shout on top of Alicia's voice. Not say that I'm shouting at Alicia. Hey, your voice is very soft and gentle. I cannot be like that on top of. It's as if I'll be attacking you. So I said I should also try to be copying you. Was that calm? How was that calm?
So. What? I don't know the gauge for calm. Sure. That's true.
All right, guys. We love you. Stay safe out there. See you again some other time. Peace. Oh, double Joe.